Okay, Wednesday, July 8th, we're talking about severe weather, and we certainly have it in the cards the way it appears now for this evening. So this is the time frame that I think we're really going to need to watch out for now is between, as of now, all the way up through about 10 p.m. or midnight tonight. And this is the area that I am most concerned about, as you can see. If you draw a line from about Alexandria and Wilmer, Minnesota, northeast to the Brainerd Lakes area, and then continuing to near Duluth. Along that line right here and east of that line is where I expect the greatest risk of severe thunderstorms to occur between now and midnight tonight. And some of these storms could definitely pack a pretty serious punch. Now, we've shown you this map now over the last 24 to 48 hours, and we're pretty happy with how everything is evolving right now. And it really comes down to just watching radar and satellite as we go through time now. Okay, here is the satellite loop now. We're going to actually zoom in on the visible satellite here in southern Minnesota and central Minnesota. And what you can see is there's not much going on right now. Here's the Twin Cities Metro, of course. And we have some puffy cumulus clouds that have developed late this afternoon in the metro. We're now starting to keep our eyes on what's happening here near St. Cloud, as it looks like some towering cumulus clouds are trying to get going there. And if we zoom out a little bit here and take a look at all of Minnesota in the upper Midwest, you can clearly see that a lone yet fairly impressive thunderstorm now has developed near Duluth, and we expect this area of Minnesota and then northwestern Wisconsin to erupt with storms as we go through the next 6 to 10 hours. Again, it has a lot to do with outflow boundaries. We talked about this earlier, outflow boundaries galore over Minnesota. And it looks like one has set up right here, and this is likely going to be the initiation point or spot for thunderstorms as we go through time. Temperatures right now across the region, these are basically going to be the highs for today. No doubt it's hot, 90s now, low 90s over much of southern Minnesota late this afternoon. And with dew points in the low to mid 70s, there's plenty of energy to support storms over the state. And then that would also include northwest Wisconsin. There's a strong southerly wind or a good southerly fetch over southern and central Minnesota, and it's hitting a front that is located right here over the northwestern quarter of Minnesota. And as that front continues to bump into that warm, humid air mass, that's when we are expecting thunderstorms to develop. As we zoom in a little bit further into Minnesota again, look at the high dew points in the 70s, 70 at St. Cloud, 73 in the Twin Cities. Yeah, if you're not sweating today, there is definitely a problem with you and your body because it is hot out there. It's oppressive. Now, speaking of energy in our atmosphere, this is the HREF model guidance for CAPE values for late this afternoon and evening. Okay, these are some absurd values, and we had mentioned this in our video yesterday. With energy like this in our atmosphere, and again, these are CAPE values near or in excess of 5,000 JKGs over much of southwestern, central, and east central Minnesota. This is a high energy area right now over Minnesota and northwestern Wisconsin. Hence the reason why we are worried that severe storms are going to quickly develop, and when they do, they're going to be impressive, and it'll continue through the evening and overnight hours as CAPE values continue to be fairly strong, even past midnight over Minnesota. But no doubt the initiation time, which would be sometime around the dinner hour, we're going to have very impressive CAPE values here over much of central and southern Minnesota. Hence the reason why we need to keep an eye to the sky. Future radar from the NAM-NEST computer model guidance shows thunderstorms exploding over the heart of Minnesota, basically from southwest to northeast across the heart of Minnesota between about, now and 8 p.m. And then these storms eventually move east into northwestern Wisconsin and southeastern Minnesota as we get into the late evening hours, and then they finally dissipate in the early morning hours. But regardless, there's appears to be likely going to be quite a bit of thunderstorm activity, along with quite a bit of precipitation. The NAM-NEST computer model guidance is showing the potential for 1 to 2 inches of rain over much of central and northeastern Minnesota and northwestern Wisconsin. And we'll have to see if this dry area comes to fruition near and west of the Twin Cities Metro. I'm not sure if I'm buying into that, but there's no doubt that the heaviest rain looks like it should occur from right around St. Cloud, the I-94 corridor, and the Twin Cities on east and north towards Duluth and the Lakes country of northwestern Wisconsin. And that would also include the Brainerd area over the next 6 to 10 hours. Now, this has just been released by the Storm Prediction Center in Norman, Oklahoma. Here it is. They've got a mesoscale discussion now for much of central, northern, and eastern Minnesota. I'm expecting, and in fact, by the time you watch this video, there will probably be a watch issued for central, northern Minnesota, and northwestern Wisconsin. And it looks like this watch would probably go through the evening hours, which certainly means the potential for severe weather. The SPC certainly has a close eye, and they're keeping a close eye on our region for a weather watch. All right, keep an eye to the sky as we get into this evening. Again, I'm expecting storms to erupt here. If they haven't erupted already in your area, they should in the next 3 to 6 hours. And it looks like it's going to be a bumpy evening and overnight in southern and eastern Minnesota and northwestern Wisconsin. Thank you for joining me. Have a great evening. We'll talk again tomorrow.